When you're on the road and you need to grab something that's just going to fill you up, the last thing you want to be grabbing is something off of the protein bar section. That's just not where you want to go. I'm going to teach you where you start, that quick hierarchy. If you run into the store, you say, I got 5 minutes and I got to get back on the road, what do I grab? So let's go find the first thing that should be top on your list. Now, in the perfect circumstances, you would go to like a normal meat section, you'd prioritize your protein. Now I'm suggesting something a little bit different. I'm in the forbidden deli meat section. Now, you'd laugh when you hear that when I'm running into a grocery store, like a Walmart, a Raley's, a Safeway, a Vons, a Publix, whatever, just something really quick and on the go, I really do look for deli meat first. Now, before you click off this video and unsubscribe thinking that I've just been feeding you a bunch of nonsense over the years, no, check this out. If you pay close attention, you can find deli meat that actually works in a pinch. So in this particular case, we have, let's see, focus there, turkey breast, water, a little bit of honey, 2% or less of sea salt, and organic rosemary. Now the rosemary they use as a preservative in this case. Now that's got a little bit of honey in it, so that may not be totally perfect, but then we have the Applegate Farms, right? This stuff is kind of cool because although still not 100% perfect, look at, we have turkey breast, then we have sea salt, potato starch, salt, chicken broth, rosemary extract. Now you may catch a little bit of flack with some people because of the potato starch, and trust me, it's not something that I would opt for like as a #1 pick, but I'm going to take a fraction of an ounce of potato starch over all that crazy gobbledygook that's going to be in like a random Quest bar or a random protein bar. Here's what you have to know about deli meat though. See, I'm in with the salamis and the prosciuttos and the things like that. It's a very different section compared to this. Check this out. Just 10 feet over and I'm in the scary deli meat section, right? So the reason that I'm teaching you this is because when you are in the regular deli meat section, you have to look carefully because a lot of times the better quality deli meats that don't have the preservatives and the garbage in them are in a separate section along with more of like the cured meats and some of the prosciuttos, stuff like that. Now there's another brand too, okay, this one's called True Story, and I've seen this in a lot of other just regular grocery stores, not specialty, not Whole Foods, not expensive places. This one's really cool because look at the ingredients here. Organic turkey breast, water, 2% or less of salt. Okay, no sodium phosphates, no carrageenan, nothing weird. So people just bag on deli meat so much. It's not like you're gonna be living on this stuff. It's like you get a little extra sodium, maybe some stuff that maybe you don't want all the time. But if I'm on the road and I need a quick like 30, 40 grams of protein and I don't wanna have a protein shake or a bar, this just makes sense. Now you're probably catching that the common theme here is protein, protein, protein. And that's not just because protein is satiating, keeps you full. Sure, there's a thermogenic effect. Sure, it's metabolically just better for weight loss, but if you're going to be sedentary, you're sitting down in a car, you're driving, you're going somewhere, you're on a plane, the last thing you want to be doing is having these crazy high glucose spikes, crazy high insulin spikes. So protein ends up fitting the bill for that for the most part. It's not so much just about trying to do something perfect, it's about trying to mitigate risk as well. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what about fats? What about things like that? What about nut butters, nuts, seeds? I'm okay with those, but when you're traveling, let's be real. You're grazing, okay? You're making choices constantly, and the willpower that it takes to abstain from nut butters, from nuts, from seeds, it's just too much, okay? And the amount of calories you simply end up taking in from nuts and seeds when you're traveling, although they're at travel stops, they're everywhere, they're easy, they're relatively inexpensive, they're not the best choice, okay? If you have control and willpower, they have a place, okay? But opt for the lean protein. Now let's go find the next thing. Okay, now I'm back in the dairy section. I'm by the yogurts, by the cottage cheeses. Here's the thing, you're traveling, you're sitting down, you're sedentary, but you're also taking in new foods. You're eating at different places, eating with different people, you're eating different foods than you might normally eat, which means your gut microbiome just gets twisted up, messed up, thrown totally aloof, right? So in this particular case, cottage cheese and Greek yogurt are a great mix, but you don't want to just be finding any Greek yogurt. Okay, now this lighting in here is terrible. It makes me look like a pale baby seahorse, but either way, let me show you some of the Greek yogurt options. If you don't mind natural flavors, you don't mind like some adulterated stuff, I really do like this Oikos Pro, okay? Now, caveat here, check it out. We've got some stuff in it that might not be perfect. Let's see if I can focus here. There we go. Okay, we've got non-fat milk, and then they've got whey protein concentrate in there. Typically, I would prefer isolate, so we've got natural flavors in there as well, which I'm not a big fan of. But what's cool is it is sweetened with stevia. See right there? It's got stevia. Now, unfortunately, it's got potassium sorbate. It's got some other weird stuff in there. Not the end of the world though, okay? And look how much protein is in this stuff. 20 grams of protein in 1 cup. And we're talking crazy California prices, it's still only $1.69. Okay, now they do have unflavored ones of this Pro. Not every store has them. I don't see it here. I know for a fact that Walmart has this exact Oikos Pro in an unsweetened, what's this one? Yeah, that's still unsweetened, unflavored, and that's like perfect because then you don't have the natural flavors, you just have the protein, the concentrate, stuff like that. Now, if you're sensitive to the whey proteins that they add and those kinds of things, you can go with this like the standard Oikos 000, this stuff. Okay, you've probably seen it, it's everywhere. Now this stuff doesn't have as much protein, it's got 15 grams, so you're cutting out 5 grams of protein and it's the same price. So if you're not sensitive to the whey protein, I would suggest going for the Oikos Pro, getting more protein. It's a quick way to keep you satiated on the road. And is it great? Well, it's better than stopping at fast food, right? Then you have this Too Good option. I like this one too. My kiddos eat this one. This one is great because look at what we've got in it. We've got, hard to focus here, reduced fat milk, water, lemon puree, a little bit tapioca starch, carrot gum, some natural flavors, and then stevia once again. Okay, so straightforward. Yes, there's weird stuff in it. If you wanted to go totally clean and squeaky clean, you know, although it's not organic, you could go with some of the FIA, right? Pasteurized skim milk, yogurt cultures, and that's it. Okay, so not organic dairy, but neither are these. I don't even know if I see any organic options here. I'm trying to provide options if you're running into like an obscure random store, not if you're going to a specialty store. So let's keep looking a little bit. Let's take a look at the cottage cheeses. Oh, and if you are getting the unflavored Greek yogurts, by the way, if you're on the road, swing by a Starbucks or swing by something and grab some of their like whole earth packets, like the sweetener packets that are stevia and monk fruit. Just get those. I mean, you don't even have to buy them realistically. Just swing by a Starbucks, grab some of those, mix those into your yogurt. Because yeah, it can be a little tart if you're not used to it, but if you sweeten it up a little bit, it tastes just fine. Either that or use like a little Lakanto sweetener or something like that. Now, cottage cheese, check this out. Got all kinds of options here. Okay, tons of them. Where do you start? Well, look at what's funny here. Okay, I can pay $5.49 for an organic Sonoma Clover cottage cheese, or I can go with $4.49, not on sale price, Good Culture low-fat cottage cheese. Now, I'm a fan of going low-fat with cottage cheese, not because the fat in the dairy is bad, but because I'd rather reduce the calories a little bit. You might have noticed even when I was picking up the yogurts, I was picking up the lower fat options. I would rather just have the protein. Like, you don't need the additional calories. And when it's like Greek yogurt and it's triple blended and it's just been filtered that much, it's already thick and creamy. Now with cottage cheese, they do have the super creamy flavor with Good Culture, which is delicious, but it's almost double the calories. Cool thing about Good Culture is it all comes from small farms. So really controlled stuff, generally grass-fed, grass-finished, depends on which farm they get it from, but all very high quality. No carrageenan, no fillers, no guar gums, nothing interesting in there other than just good old-fashioned cottage cheese. So high protein, thick and creamy, live and active cultures, sea salt, no gums, no carrageenan, no preservatives, no added hormones, no artificial anything. And it's perfectly keto friendly, so it's perfect on the go. There's no reason you can't swing by a regular grocery store and grab that. Plus you're getting those cultures that I was talking about, those cultures that are good for your gut when you're gonna be changing your diet or going off your normal diet. I also popped a link down below for Seed. So if you're traveling, it makes sense to utilize a probiotic because your gut biome shifts a lot. It changes when you're traveling. But another thing I want you to think about is, once again, if you're eating different foods, it's good to stabilize your gut bacteria ahead of time, okay? So you may not take a probiotic all the time, but something like Seed, which is what's called a Synbiotic, okay? So it is a probiotic and a prebiotic combined. So it's got a capsule inside of a capsule. Perfect when you're traveling, perfect when you're on the road, perfect when you're changing time zones and you need to kind of have your gut stabilized through different circadian cues. Okay, so that link down below saves you 15%. So special link down below. Again, Seed down below. Use that code Thomas15, saves you 15% off that entire probiotic order. So check them out down below in the description. Okay, now another very important piece that people often overlook. They think, okay, I don't want to have a bunch of sugar when I'm on the road. I don't want to have a bunch of carbohydrates. I don't want to have fruit. Well, you do also need to consider that keeping your antioxidant profiles high when you're traveling, when you're exposed to a lot of different illnesses, when you're getting on a plane, all these things, it does make a difference, okay? Now, you're correct in assuming that you don't want to have a bunch of sugar, okay? So I would not recommend going and like indulging in a bunch of like mangoes or something. So what I usually opt for are going to be things like raspberries and blueberries. Okay, recently I was traveling from Atlanta to Orlando, about a 6.5-hour drive through a hurricane, right? So we stopped somewhere around the Florida-Georgia line, and I picked up some cottage cheese, I picked up some Greek yogurt, some deli meat, and I picked up some blueberries. My wife was actually surprised. She's like, "You're gonna eat some blueberries? Like, you're gonna be sitting down for the next like 4 more hours." And I said, "You know what? Like, in this particular case, I will take the 15 or 20 grams of carbohydrates I get from a cup and a half of blueberries for the antioxidant benefit." Plus, I was super tired. And the interesting thing about blueberries is there's something called anthocyanins in blueberries. Okay, anthocyanins are one of the most researched polyphenols, most researched antioxidant profiles inside of like darker colored berries. So blueberries, blackberries, boysenberries, things like that, okay? Now, they are heavily researched for cognitive function, and people have even seen in research that when you have a small amount of blueberries, within an hour, they're having increases in cognitive performance, increases in memory, increases in executive function. Okay, who doesn't want to be sharp when you're sitting at a dinner table with your in-laws who are trying to question your political views or something, right? You have to be able to be sharp. Okay, just a little bit of a joke, but either way, you want to be able to just opt for something that's going to help you out there. So going for the organic blueberries. Now, I do get on my high horse a little bit. I think with GMO fruit, it has been altered to be sweeter, have more glucose in it, have more fructose in it. So try to go for the organic whenever you can. But I'll show you another option. Come here. Almost no matter where you are, you can find frozen blueberries. Okay, so $3.49 for organic frozen blueberries. So assuming you picked up some of the Greek yogurt or something that I talked about over in the dairy section, you don't even have to get a sweetener in it. You could take those frozen blueberries and you just add them into that Greek yogurt. It kind of freezes the yogurt up, literally makes it like a, well, frozen yogurt. Tastes delicious, and you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're getting your protein fix, and you're getting a negligible amount of carbohydrates, high amount of fiber, high amount of antioxidants, anthocyanins for the brain. It's perfect brain food, and you're tackling it all for just a couple of bucks. Cheaper than what it would have been to go through the drive-thru at Wendy's, and I'm literally saying that because that's literally true. I also used to be the guy that would swing by and get like a kombucha or something when I was traveling, because like, oh, it's good for my gut, it's probiotic. The research has suggested that kombuchas aren't really even technically probiotic. So the small amount of research that is out there is showing that it's not adding or contributing anything to the gut microbiome. Placebo effect is amazing though, because until I learned that, I used to drink one when I would get on the plane, and I used to swear up and down that it would have this huge benefit, but it didn't really have much. Now, most grocery stores aren't going to have like good quality ones, and especially depending on where you are. Like if you are, not trying to pick on the South per se, but if you're in the South and stuff, a lot of the regular grocery stores don't have these better for you options. You know, in California, yeah, we have a lot of choices. But one of the things that I have been seeing like at Publix and some of these major grocery stores is water kefir. Okay, now kefir, traditional dairy kefir, is one of the best probiotic sources. Okay, I drink a lot of goat kefir, a lot of raw milk kefir, but water kefir doesn't have any dairy, and it's a couple of bucks. Check this out. If you are getting a little bit of an upset stomach just because you're traveling, this lemon cayenne Kavita water kefir, I used to love it when I was strict keto because there's only 3 grams of carbs. It still needs a tiny bit of sugar in it to trigger the fermentation process. But 3 grams of carbs in an entire bottle, 10 calories, and you definitely notice a difference in how your gut feels, especially once again, if you're kind of changing diets for a little bit, or you've been on something strict and now all of a sudden you're eating something different. Now, personally, I've gotten a lot better effect on my gut by consuming something like Olipop, which again, you're not gonna find them at a traditional grocery store a lot of times, but Olipop is like a high fiber soda. So it's probably hard to see here and it's gonna be backwards, but basically there's like 16 grams of fiber in those. Okay, it's all coming from like Jerusalem artichoke and things like that. It's a really thick soda when you drink it, it's really good. But I wanna finish off with one very important thing while I'm in the beverage section. Don't forget to add salt to your water. When you're on the road or when you're on a plane especially, remember those cabins are pressurized to be around 5,000 to 7,000 feet. Okay, so you're still at altitude for all intents and purposes when you're traveling. Okay, so when you're flying, you're dealing with pressurization changes, you're dealing with hydration issues. So I usually use those element packets. I'll take like 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. I'll usually take magnesium capsules with me too, just because it helps ease the stress, and hopefully that helps you out a little bit as well. So hopefully I taught you a few things that you can use to just prioritize the right kind of foods when you're on the road. I know it's not as simple as I make it sound all the time, but in reality, if you just prioritize protein, next in line fats, next in line carbs, that simple, it's going to work well for you. And remember, berries don't fall into the same category as traditional carbs. Low glycemic, high fiber, high antioxidant profile. I'll see you tomorrow.